exactly at 2 o'clock, so just waiting for our attendees to trickle in. Going to give everybody another few seconds, and then we can get started with our the next to last webinar from this particular series of webinars. We had a number of them, and thanks for those of you who've joined us for the whole series. We've been running these webinars. I think we started way back in the summer, and with the basic how to get started, and then we went on with the portfolio management, project management, and integrations, resource management, and many other subjects. And we're just 2 webinars away from concluding our series, from the conclusion of our series. The one that we're going to have today is the PPM Insights. It's really demonstrating of how you can use the insights or the machine learning algorithms built into PPM Express to help you manage your projects. I think it's really slick the way they have it designed. And we're going to have our subject matter expert, Eric Alley, going over that functionality with us today. And then we're going to have one more webinar that will conclude this particular series, which is going to be all about reporting, dashboards, and all about Power BI. And there are a number of different reports, probably, over 150 plus to be exact, that you can use right out of the, they're pre-configured in the tool for you. And actually the next webinar is not going to be on Wednesday, it's going to be on Tuesday, and we will adjust accordingly and send you all updated invites. So again, thanks again for joining us. Just a quick reminder, if you miss anything, you can join our YouTube channel, and I will leave all the links in the chat, where, by the way, you can also post your questions in. We will address them as they come up. There's a full replay of all the webinars that we had right here on our website under the workshop tab, but also they're all available on our YouTube channel here in the Express webinar replay list. So again, I will leave this link for the full replay list in the chat also. And one more reminder for you all, we still have the PPM Express free trial. So you can go ahead and go to our website and click on the link and join the free trial, or I will also leave this link in the chat, and you could simply use your Office 365 credential, Google, Gmail, or any other email to log in. I think I covered all the sort of housekeeping stuff, so don't want to stand between you and the interesting subject that we have to cover today. So without further ado, here's Eric Alley, and he's going to be going over PPM Insights and machine learning in PPM Express.
Okay, let me see if I can share my screen. Okay, and I'm going to, yes, that is the screen. So you're, just to check, you are seeing my
yes, seeing your screen.
All right.
Yep.
All right. So good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are, or good evening even. So this is the common screen we see quite a bit from from PPM Express. This is my space. Today, we're going to talk about PPM Insight, which is basically, it's a tool it's a view which lets you get right to the heart of what's going on across your projects or projects you're responsible for, et cetera. So this view might be used by a PM who's running multiple projects, might be used for a PMO shop who is managing and overseeing the governance for multiple projects, portfolios, or programs, or for an executive who wants to see the status of a group of projects and know where the hot spots are for that day or week, or where to put resources. All right. Currently, we've talked about how you get a project view, right? You can look at any of your projects and go in, and this is a great view for a project manager. If you're a program manager, you can go into here and then choose one of our fake projects here and get fake news about a fake project. Another great view, portfolios work similar, but when you want to look at these things at a high level and know where to start your effort, that's where Insight comes in. Okay, it looks similar, and a lot of the playing field is this, similar. We have the same side menu. We have the three bars where we are the three. I guess this is called an ellipse, I think is what it's called. But the three dots. We can actively choose what categories we want to view in this, so we can just turn them on, turn them off to select that. Okay, so it has a similar feel. You also have these areas of project summary, statuses, and due this week. And in this case, I have mine, or I could also set up favorites. I could choose active projects, etc. All these different options for views. So this has a very similar feel. If I click on these, you see I won't click on it actually to follow it, but I could actually follow these and basically apply it. Well, I'll click on it a little bit. It'll deploy a filter in effect. So this pop-up, which will alter your view further down the page. So I can also combine these. I want to look at late tasks, right? It's going to filter for late tasks and things like that. So this is good. Now, where this gets a little more powerful is, let me start rolling these up a little bit so we can see the full view. But oops, I open that one back up. So generally, these are going to match what we had up here, right? Not only that, we can change these orders around right here and change where they're going to see. And actually, you could see it shift in the, it's grayed out a little bit. You could see it shift. Okay. So this allows you to prioritize what you want to look at first. Let's say you're an executive and you want to know which PMs you need to talk to first. I would probably go look at the projects or portfolios, but I'll just use projects for the general term today, that are at risk, right? So I would look at projects at risk. I wouldn't necessarily want to talk tasks at risk or anything like that. I'd want projects because I want to stay above the detail. I can only move resources around so far, and I have to delegate those. So I would deal with PMs at that level or program managers at that level. So I might want to do that first, right off the bat. On the other hand, I'm a working PM, and I got things to do every day, and I don't want to fall behind. I could say, what's due today? And I even want to know what's due for this week so I can get a little bit ahead before the end of the day. Okay, I could sequence those. So very useful, right? And given that you can also turn some things off that you don't need to look at, that's even more useful. So this whole upper section has a good feel to it, right? It's very useful. It's very practical. Now, basically what these, like right now I have enough, because these are fake. Obviously I have nothing due today, right? But if I did, it would show up here. The task would show up here, and it would allow me to just see the status of it and then click on it and go directly to that task within the project. When I look at due this week, I get quite a few activities. Now, some of these also have messages. So right now we can tell that in this SD-WAN project, for example, we're having some issues here, right? They're due this week and we have some issues. So this little warning sign is telling us that it's due this week. The this little newspaper sign is actually, it's like a symbol that says this project is finishing this week. And then the task, this will be another one that's due this week. So if you saw it you'll see this in another view. These little tags can give you quite a bit of information. You also have the ability to drill right to the project if you want, and just click on it and it'll take you right there. The next thing, there's two things here at the top here, these activity centers, I'll call them. One is, let's say I don't have any information on the status. I need status on these. These would kind of show up in two places. One would be overdue activities. We'll talk about that a little bit, but that means that overdue activities are it's basically a task or a project that hasn't been updated in 7 days. Okay. But what this allows us is this little request update automatically allows you to just click, and in the upper right corner you'll see you should see it up here. It's not going to do it for me right now. Probably do it down on the updates at the bottom, but it basically allows me to request an update, and it actually sends out an email, and you usually get a message up here. Maybe I'm not sure I have someone maybe assigned to that task, and that may be the problem right now, but it would send it to the person who's responsible and the manager who's responsible. Okay. If that's a PM and you're at the VP level, you know that went out there, and there's a record that it went out there, and all you have to do is basically, you shouldn't have to follow up at all for your VP, but if you do, you have a record that hey, I sent you this. Why didn't you get this updated? It also reminds them maybe they've been on vacation for a couple of days. So this is a very handy item you'll see on a couple of these different areas. Not all of them, but some of them. The next one is, you'll see this on several, if not, you'll see this on many, but again, not all of them. Configure the columns, right? They equate to the columns across the top here, and I can either have something active and it'll be on there, or turn it off like I just did and it drops off, right? And again, I can move these around, right? So again, it's very flexible, tailorable to what you prefer, and works fantastic. I think I've already talked about how you can drill on these and it'll take you right to the task also. So let's start looking at, that's generally how things operate on this type of screen. The one exception, let's say, would be, projects. We're just going to choose project as risk as the category. And I did that because you have your two views that are, again, another feature that's not in every bar, or in each section, but is available in certain ones. So in this view, we have a column and row type setup. I have one task that is at risk. It's flagged and put in this category automatically based on the fact that it has at least one area that has risk, right? If you had no risks in any of the categories and this was not at risk, it would not show up here. It just needs one of the boxes to be at risk. So again, I can change the columns. In this one, you get quite a few more columns, right? There's a lot of things you can tailor around these categories, and that will make more sense in the next couple of minutes as I show you how this stuff works behind the scenes, the AI component of the automation component. But you can tailor these quite a bit. This is how aligned the product is, or your task is, to your end objectives as a project plan. Does it drive to your goals for that project, or does it drive to your company's goals as part of a bigger 5-year plan? That's a category you might want to drive off of and use as a measurement, right? The minute it starts to deviate, you know that someone's not working to be aligned with the rest of the projects. But huge number here, finish dates, you name it. I doubt you would want all of these, but if you did, what appears is a scroller bar across the bottom which allows you to go left to right easily and see the different rows. The other thing you have here is this filter. Basically, you can choose, if you have multiples, you can choose to filter out certain rows. Okay. You just want to look at one, you click on it, and the others disappear, right? You can bring it back. It works pretty well. So the second view is really the Gantt chart view, all right? This can be good. Normally, I'm a big fan of the Gantt chart, but not every project you're going to see here is necessarily related. So it can get a little overwhelming when you have one stacked over the other, over the next, et cetera, right? So that's a little bit about this type of representation. But I think projects at risk is a good one. And again, the element that puts them on the project at risk table there is something is at risk. Generally, risk, we'll talk a little bit more about this in the next couple of minutes, but risk is anything that's basically 1 day overdue. If it's critical, it's 10 days overdue. So risk is 1 to 9, and 10 days is for critical. Those are adjustable, but that's just straight out of the box. You can even use those numbers to project ahead. Within 1 day of something, you would use a -1, right? So it's due tomorrow. Okay, well, that would be at risk if you put a -1. The other good category is upcoming, right? I used to run quite a few projects simultaneously for the Senate, and I didn't have the ability to review every project every week. We just didn't have the staff and the time to prep. It was about 28 projects. I was a task order program manager. So I adopted a strategy that said I'll look at basically projects at the 1 week mark, at the 3 week mark, and at the 6 week mark. And then I'll report on it, right? So I'm reporting to my client on their status at the 1 week, 6 week, 3 week, and 6 week point for each project. So I would align them to do that, right? You could use this category to do that. You have the same bars and the same tools, but it would allow you to group them into the upcoming category, 1st week, 2nd, or 3rd week, or 6th week, etc. The next one here we have is outdated projects. I talked a little bit about this one. This means that it just hasn't been updated within 7 days. And you definitely get that little, basically no one's updated it within 7 days. So you would have that little icon I had up here that would be presented. You click on it and it would send out an email, and it gives you a little blue message says message has been sent, or request has been sent. But again, this, similar to what you might have had in the old days with Microsoft Project, this would have been plans that have not been published, right? Project plans that are not published. So I think it's a valuable one that keeps your items up to date. Your overall projects, right? This one, I think I don't know if I have this filtered. I thought I had more than on here. But, this is, so on this one, this is what a standard project would look like. This actually happens to be the one that's actually critical, or was up there before. So it also shows here. So you not only do you get the blue box that shows you that it's critical, but it also shows you it's a negative trend. It's been doing this over a couple of cycles, right? Basically at the project, at the task level and at the project level, it tracks your entries over a series of time and then determines which way those are going based on being, in progress, at risk, delayed, et cetera. There's a couple of categories it skips through, and it just tracks them against each other over time. It's very useful. It definitely gives you some insight about what's going on. in this one, yeah, you have the same number of columns. It's the same basic columns again. And while I'm thinking here, there is one that gives you a description. So let's say your VP wants to see this type of view and you're prepping their system so they can see it, trying to tell them. They might not remember what each project is that you have, but if you provide the description column, they will remember, right? You can just drag it right up there and now it appears. It's on the very end, and you can add in a short, brief narrative, probably right off the project detail section, and just cut and paste it into there so they understand what's going on. You could also put in there what's causing or driving the risk, right? Its resources, etc. So that's very valuable. Some of we won't go through every one of these. Some of these, like attention required, is a good one. Now, if you look, this is actually at the task level, right? So it's saying it goes down to the task level. You have certain things that need to be dealt with or at least addressed, and this, or this red, this deep red symbol there, this warning symbol is that it's late, right? You can deal right to it, and I can choose, let's say this one. Let's see if this will give me the message. I'm sure it will. And I can send this off, and there it goes. An update request was sent successfully. So that means that I am going to get, as the owner, I'm going to get an email in my email box that says, hey, we need an update on this. Not only that, you have this little lightning symbol, and that symbol, when it's clicked, it means that it's priority urgent, or urgent priority, right? It's even more important than these others. So they've given you that ability, which I think is very good. So that, I'm glad we got to see that. Let's see, anything else? 1222, okay. So on this part, all of these things that I've just shown you kind of work the same way. The thing that works along with these, though, is that there's calculations, there's automation that's going on behind the scenes to give you these scores of critical or at risk, et cetera. So the question is, how do you set those, right? Part of it is you have to have a certain type of account. It's admin, I believe, is the account that allows you to set them. But there is some ability for a project manager to override them for a period of time. So let's say I make, out of the box, all projects would come with automatic calculations on. Within a project, I could actually overrule, I want to go here, I could actually overrule the rating on a given area and say it was at risk. I could put this at normal for a certain number of days. And here's the history track I was talking about, right? You'd have multiple days of these over here. Now, what the system does, though, it gives you 7 days, and then the automatic calculation replaces yours. So even if you report normal here, at 7 days from now, it's going to flip to the actual score. It's going to force you to come back in and re-justify it. So that's an important note to remember. I just wanted to show you how that might work. So there is some flexibility when you're in the automated mode. You can also go into a full manual mode, right? But that has to be set. It has to be actually selected by the admin for everyone or for a project. He can do it they can do it at the project level, he or she. And then you'd be in an automatic mode and you would be maneuvering, let's say percentages complete would be more subjective. I think we're about 22%. So I put it at 22%. When you're using automated, your schedule and things are done off timesheets, and those other capabilities built within the system. So now let's go behind the curtain, shall we say, as in Emerald City, and we'll see how the wizard does this. So this piece is basically this gear, which obviously is common in many products. You go in here and you click on the insights. Now, within here, there are several areas. I'm going to actually start from the bottom because I want you to understand. Well, first thing I tell you is that it's automatically set. It's by default set to automatic. Okay, that's number one. But I wanted to show you some of the areas. So one is you can see portfolio statuses. Right now it's off. I could turn it to on. Program statuses is the next one. So you can do this at the portfolio level, program level, and project level. Okay. You can turn off and on those warnings. So I want warnings turned off for portfolios. The portfolio managers think it's a waste of their time. So I can turn that off for them. By default, I would probably turn all warnings on initially. Now we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of some of the other areas. For objectives and key results. So typically those are going to be related to programs or larger, longer term outcomes that the company wants to achieve, such as I want 80% of my workforce to be trained in ITIL because the company is going to adopt the ITIL project, or I'm sorry, the ITIL service management framework. So we need to have them certified. So I could set a goal of 80%, and I could set a risk at 90%. So what this means is that if I'm not reaching, basically it would work so that if I'm not at 80% when I should be, then I'm critical. If I'm at 90%, I would be at risk. Okay. It's not the perfect example because it doesn't quite blend, but that's the idea. Between 80 and 89, I will be critical. At 90 and above, I would be at risk. So you'd actually probably want to say people not trained would be the logical way to say this. My objective would be I want 20% or less of my people trained would be the objective. And then this would make more sense, you know. So the next one is task statuses. So for tasks, it's a similar thing. If it is 1 day late, not 0, not on time or prior to on time, but if it's 1 day late, up to 9 days, it's in at-risk status. If it goes to 10 or above, then it's critical, okay? You can obviously adjust these, and if you wanted this to occur in advance, then you would use negative numbers. 1 day in advance would be you're at risk if you're 1 day prior. Or if you go -1 here, actually, you'd probably say critical. -3 days, you might want to use -3 would be 3 days prior, you're at risk. So it's approaching, and you want to get it done ahead of schedule. Basically, that's a good way to do like SLAs and things. You don't want to bust your SLA, but you want to have a notice before you hit it, like a false threshold. And then the last one here is key dates. So let's say there's dates for, you might have a key date, which is deploy on schedule, right? You want to deploy a product. You want the client to accept the product. This type of case would apply here. Acceptance is 1 day late, up to 9 days late, it's at risk. If it's 10 days late or more, it's critical. Okay. So that is the summary of how the magic works behind the scenes in 30 minutes or less, and why you should use insights depending on, you know, and tailor it to your needs based on your position. Hopefully that shows you a little bit about it and is valuable for you. All right, with that, I'll turn it back over to Yuri for any questions we might have.
Great. Thank you, Eric. That was great. Doesn't look like we have any questions in chat. Yeah, think you covered everything thoroughly. Again, I do urge everyone, if you missed anything, the replay is on our YouTube channel. For those of you who are watching us on YouTube, we have all the links down in the show notes below, with your free trial activation, with our future webinar links. And again, we're planning to have many more, even beyond the PPM Express webinars. And some of the future webinars, we will be probably covering our Microsoft Project Platform, Project for the Web, Project Accelerate, also going to look at Power PPM tool, and with all the additions and improvements. So do keep an eye on our emails. We will send the invites via social media, or if we have your email on record, we will send all the invites via email. Again, thank you very much for joining.